All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday. Hope everybody excited for the weekend. I'm sure excited because there's a lot of sports going on this week in Big Marley. Of course, MMA, 14 fights, only one weight miss I saw, and that was by, I believe, half a pound. That was Eduardo Mora, so I'm expecting all 14 fights to go. Live fans, I mean, man, I always like seeing out of the apex, give me fans, give me cheering. Is a bigger cage. Great DFS card, I think. NBA playoffs, NBA finals, game 2 Sunday. NHL, I think game 1 is Saturday. MLB, of course, going on. Big boy prize pools. NASCAR Sunday. No better time. Head over to shippingnation.com. Weekly package. Hey, I think it is a good time. If you do want to try weekly, you don't want to pay the $69 a month or more for the other packages. Of course, you don't get the Discord, but all those sports, so many big prize pools this week. Now's a good time. Jump in there. $24 a week. Check it out. No Discord. So if you do want the Discord, it is an awesome piece of the product. Monthly, 6-month, annual packages. Head over to Shipping Nation. Check it out. And of course, I shouldn't say of course because it is kind of new. We brought it back from last year. No better site out there than drafters.com. Shout out to our partner. They are sponsoring our shows. If you have not signed up at drafters.com, best ball season is about here. Contest, $15, 186,000 people. 500,000 up top on drafters this year. A $2 contest, very good as well. 57,000 people. If you want to get more drafts in for cheaper, it's very fun. It's unlike Underdog, unlike DraftKings, cumulative scoring. Big Marley and I did a lot of shows last year. I did a solo video, like 15 minutes, broad strategy on how I won. Check that out if you want to get in drafters. If you're interested in best ball, put in $100, up to $100. They will match $100 as well using the promo code SHIPIT. Very excited for best ball season. Big Marley and I will be talking early next month, I think. I still haven't drafted anything yet. We'll be diving in pretty shortly, but enjoying life right now. Just want more coach speak, etc. Then I'll be in the streets hard. We will have you covered at Shipping Nation.
We had Go Collect take it down last year, that $3 tournament. He came in first place for $30K. So get in there. We're going to have some good rankings soon. I'm already balls deep in these drafts, so I'm ready to go whenever.
I love it. I love it. Let's talk some MMA, though, Big Marley, again. Appreciate all 16 of you watching live right now. Many watch on playback. We appreciate you guys as well. Like button, subscribe button. Helps us out a ton. Little next in here. Ben, Joanne, Philly Phantom. What do you say? 3 points off major takedowns last week. Great slate plan. Ready to get it this week. Appreciate that, Philly Phantom. Let's get it this week. 14 fights, Big Marley. My quick broad slate overview. I mean, I think it's a great DFS card. You can leave salary. Only 2 favorites over -300. And I think you can fade the main events. It's slightly favored to go the distance. 2 primary strikers. Fun DFS card that you have plenty of combinations to work with. You should have less dupes on average. Wouldn't be surprised to see a solo shipper. That is music to my ears. So just because last week was a pay-per-view, and we said it, I'm like, I don't really like this card that much outside a couple fights. This is a way better DFS card than last week's pay-per-view, than many pay-per-views we get. So I'm excited for it. Broad slate overviews before we go fight by fight.
Yeah, great DFS card. Tough one, but 14 fights is always good. Should be less ties as it is. I think we could also leave salary on the table, get a little bit more different. But I'm going to like the last half of the fights we talk about a lot more than the first half. So I might be fading a few of these fights or fighters and then getting into it a little bit down the road. But should be a good one. Hopefully we do get a solo shipper.
Yeah, no, I agree with you as well on that last, or the one of the notes that I have more interest in the later fights. I think that is on average. All the stuff will be up on the site shortly after the show, projections, ownership, slate plan, fight rankings, core report, etc. We got you covered at shippingnation.com. First fight of the night, ladies division, Eduardo Mora taking on, oh wait, hold on. I'm so happy I said that though, because I'm on the slate plan. Hold on. There we go. I forgot to unhide these 2 rows. There we go. Ryan Dos Santos, a.k.a. Amanda. DraftKings has Dos Santos. Some people have Amanda. They are the same person. starts off the card as a pretty big favorite, taking on Puja, Tomar, Amanda / Dos Santos, minus 331 on the money line. Tomar plus 271. This fight plus 105 to finish. So pretty good finishing odds for this division. Like you don't expect too many straw weights, plus 105 to finish. So there catches my attention. Finishing odds plus 135 for Amanda. Very good. Tomar plus 675. I'll throw it to you right away, Big Marley. Pretty interested in the favorite here. Looks like a clash of styles at first look as well with Amanda, the wrestler, Tomar, the striker. How do you see it?
Yeah, I definitely look at it as a striker versus grappler matchup where Tomar has to keep the fight standing. But I don't even know that she's the better striker of the two. I feel like Dos Santos could win a striking match. It's just at $9,100 that's going to kill us. So we need her to go out there and grapple. But Tomar just doesn't have a ground game. So it would be smart of Amanda to do that. And I think she is live for the submission here. Looking at the decision props, though, like plus 225 to win on decision at Bet Online, and they have her at plus 135 inside the distance. But DraftKings has Amanda to win by decision at plus 120. So that's what I was looking at. That makes me like it a lot less because I don't think she's going to score great in a decision. But I'm picking her to get a submission. So I do like her a little bit. I don't think she'll be too highly owned. So she's going to be my preferred play. If I get any leverage, it would be on her. But I think I'm just going to X out Tomar because even if she wins, it could be less than 10X. And there's a lot of underdogs on this card that have 100-point upside. So I would rather target those higher ceilings. And she is one of 3 or 4 people I plan on Xing out on this card.
Yeah, I like it. I'm on the Amanda / Dos Santos side as well. I mean, there's paths that she can get there in a decision. Like if she does wrestle, there's 3-4 takedowns, 10 minutes of control times from ground and pound. Obviously, Tomorrow would have to stay alive. Yeah, I mean, for sure. The 9K range, I'll say too, like this is such a good card. Ownership's going to be spread out. We don't have anybody above 50% right now. And outside of the main event, we only have one fighter above 40%. Like this 9K range is definitely going to be spread out. I like Amanda. I think Prates will be similar owned. Rosas, we have higher owned. Bruno Ferrera, higher owned. Katona, pretty similar. Amanda's got as much upside as anybody. So I definitely will have some. And some people, like if they only play 5 lineups in the big $15 or whatever it is, I've heard multiple people or throughout the years say like, I'm scared to play the first fight. I don't want my night to be over right away. Maybe there's some merit that Dos Santos is a little lower owned than expected. I like the upside. Tomar, the only reason for her, we have her as the second lowest owned fighter on the card. You get 10% of her, you're overweight. I don't like it. I think dogs come through that have more upside. So I was going to cap her like 10%, debating fade or underweight. Right now I had her underweight. Maybe that changes as we go throughout because you probably will have some fighters in your pool that I don't. So maybe I'll switch to that because at the end of the day, I don't like Tomar. And man, last thing to note on this fight opened minus 180 for Dos Santos, plus 155 for Tomar. Now it's all the way minus 330, plus 271. Money hasn't stopped pouring in on the Amanda side. So I like that side as well. We'll keep it moving. Next fight on the card. One of my least favorite fights for DFS. I guess this should be an okay real life fight. 2 solid fighters. Taylor Lapas, Cody Staman, minus 279 Lapas, plus 239 to Staman. This fight's plus 250 to finish. Lapas plus 320. Staman plus 700. This is a fade for me with 20 lineups and less. Hold on, question. Okay, I thought someone said a fight was off. I'll get to your questions after this fight, Phil. Easy for me. Lapas, no way I'm playing plus 320 inside the distance at 8,900. Staman, known as the primary wrestler, has slowed down on his wrestling a little as of late. I think he probably tries. Lapas, good takedown defense. I think Farid's probably a better wrestler. Lapas, when he was taken down, got back up. I think we see a boring decision that does not score well. X'd out both sides. If I had to pick a side, I would go Staman because he's 7,300. I still don't like Staman though, so I'm out on this one.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to X out Lapas just because he's going to be a pure striker. Maybe he could mix in takedowns in other matchups. I just don't see him taking down Staman. And if he doesn't get a first-round knockout, I just don't see how he makes it on the optimal lineup. And he'd be like plus money to score over 10X really in this fight. So I'm going to X him out. Hope it does stay standing even if he wins. I don't think it matters too much. But I'm going to keep Staman in my pool just because he is a wrestler. I think he can keep it a little bit close on the feet, but then steal rounds with wrestling. I just don't trust him enough to land those takedowns or even look for those takedowns enough. So I'm picking Lapas to win, which makes me like Staman a little bit less. But I'll keep him in the pool, maybe get 10, 15% of them as a contrarian play on this 14-fight card. But just like the other underdog, there's a lot of 100-point upside underdogs on this card, which I would rather have them. So that might just limit my Staman exposure, but I'm not going to X them out.
Yeah, to be honest, I might after the show switch like Tomar to fade and Staman to underweight. Like I'm going back and forth. Like Staman has the wrestling upside. I think he's a solid fighter. But I've seen so many big women's favorites lose all the time, which was the reason I kept Tomar in the pool. It's like Santos really might just be so overrated. Low-level women's MMA is like damn near flip a coin at this point. But, yeah, I think Staman does have more upside than Tomar. Regardless, I don't like either. A lot better underdogs that we'll get to. Like this next one we're about to talk about. Eduardo Mora, Denise Gomes, minus 200 Mora, plus 170 is Gomes. This fight, minus 155 to finish. Mora, plus 170. Gomes, plus 225. I mean, man, so to note right away, this line opened to pick 'em, minus 115 a pop. Mora got all the way down to like minus 220. And then Gomes got money back. Mora has taken money throughout the week. So again, minus 115, now sitting at minus 200 for Mora. This fight to finish opened at minus 110. Now it's minus 155. So that's good to see. It's a really good fight to target because, again, you don't see these finishing odds in this division very often. Clash of styles. Mora wants the fight on the mat. Gomes wants the fight on the feet. Gomes known for a huge upset over Uwagi, who's a great fighter, knocked her on a little over 20 seconds. Mora coming off, like 128 DK points or something. Absolutely dominated Montserrat Ruiz on the mat. I'm minus 200 right now, plus 170 inside the distance for a primary wrestler. It looks really good. So I'll definitely have a lot of Mora. Gomes, she's live for a knockout if she can keep it on the feet. I prefer the Mora side, though, but I'll have some Gomes as the dog as well. Actually, and then I want to say one quick thing. If I had to pick a fight to stack, it would be the main event, Imavov Cannonier, but I definitely don't like it this week, nearly like last week, with 2 more fights on the card and a lot more live underdogs. But it would be the main event for me.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed on both sides, really. I prefer Mora in this fight, but it is a good one to target. And Gomes has broken 2 slates as a heavy underdog before, and it wouldn't completely shock me to see her do it again because Mora is so unproven, and her one UFC win was against one of the worst fighters in the whole UFC. So I just don't take a whole lot of that into account. But in all of her fights, she is looking to go out and aggressively wrestle early. And that's what she's going to have to do in this matchup where Gomes should be the better striker, much more dangerous striker too. Mora also looks like she's on some really good supplements. So I think she's got the strength to hold Gomes down. She could get 10 plus minutes of control time here, 5 plus takedowns. So I like Mora quite a bit. And I'm guessing I'll be overweight to her. But on the Gomes side, I do want some of her as some hedge exposure. And I'm not against going overweight to that side either, just in case she does go out there and get a first-round knockout. I don't want my night to be over 3 fights into this 14-fight card. So good fight to target. I think I have it as like a 4-star, but that's because there's so many fights on this card and a few that I like more, but maybe on a different card, this would have been a 5-star for me. So I like it quite a bit, but give me more.
Yeah, I love this fight. I think both sides, like 7,400, any Gomes win can get there. Mora has 130-point upside in this fight, so I love it as well. My favorite my favorite fight by far early. Far fight, all that. Yeah, my brain's thinking ahead of my mouth, but that's a great fight. I will say after this one, this is what I think Big Marley and I are in similar pages where it gets pretty boring, and I'll be hoping for some low scoring fights in these next 3. John Castaneda, Daniel Marcos, 8,200 Castaneda, 8K Marcos. We have the rare, I guess it's not even as rare as it feels like I say it. Marcos is priced cheaper at 8K, but he's a minus 119 favorite, where Castaneda is 8,200 priced higher as a small dog at minus 101. This fight, Castaneda opened a dog, plus 104, stayed a dog for a little bit, got bought to a favorite for a little while, and then Marcos has got some money on the way back. This fight is one of the more likely to go the distance on the card, plus 180 to finish. Both guys similar finishing odds, plus 350 Marcos, plus 365 Castaneda. It's not a fight that I want. Like, looking at this mid-tier range, I'd much prefer, we'll get to Zach Reese Marquez. That fight's an absolute banger. I like the Thiago Moises Klein fight we'll get to a little more. I think this fight mainly stays on the feet. I actually like the Castaneda side more if I have to pick because he has more wrestling upside, higher priced, and the dog. So I'm going to look at our ownership quick, actually, in this one. Castaneda 17, Marcos 20, which is about what I expected. Pretty close, both relatively low owned. I want to be underweight on the 37% combined ownership, I think. If I had to pick a side, Castaneda, I'll just make sure I don't have a ton, though. But I think it goes to decision and mainly stays on the feet. What about you?
Yeah, I think it's a close fight standing. I probably give Marcos the overall boxing edge, maybe a little bit more dangerous and durable, but Castaneda can win this fight in a striking match, and he can maybe not dominate, but he can win all 3 rounds if he wants to go out there and wrestle. And he has the higher ceiling as well. He's never scored less than 10x this $8,200 price tag, whereas Marcos has scored, he's won and scored 55 points before. Castaneda's got to 55 points in a second round loss. Yeah, I had him losing that fight too. But I prefer Castaneda here, especially if he's going to be lower owned because of the betting lines, him being more expensive, but having a plus next to his name. And I think if he wins, he's got a good chance of scoring more than 10x, where Marcos could score 65, 70 points and it just doesn't even matter if he wins. So I don't know that I'm going to X Marcos out, but I'm close to it anyways. And then Castaneda, I could see me being overweight to him. I don't have a strong lean about him winning the fight. So maybe I just look to other people I feel more confident in, but I am going to get some Castaneda exposure, and I'd be fine with him in a single entry too.
Yeah. I guess if I was really chalking a single entry, I think I'd probably be fine with Castaneda too. In general, though, most hand builds, I will be trying to avoid that fight though. Just a low-owned fight to mix in chalkier lineups, but 14 fights, I think it more than likely busts and is not on the optimal. Appreciate that, Terry. Go collect. Hey, go back to the beginning of the show. If you just tuned in, Big Marley gave you a shout-out to $3 30K champ on Drafters last year. Siggy, what's going on? Michael Peterson, what's going on? David, hope you're doing well as well. Big Driggs. Forgot to say hi to a lot of people. Sorry about that, folks. Joanne, I think I might have said hi to you. Hope everybody out there having a great Friday. Let's keep it rolling. 14 fights to talk about. Andrea Lee, Montana De La Rosa, 8,500 Lee, 7,700 Rosa. Lee minus 160, Rosa plus 140. This fight, the tied for the most likely to go the distance on the card. It's plus 250 to finish. Lee plus 335, Rosa plus 675. Again, not much interest for me in this fight. What about you? And I guess who would your preferred side be? Because I kind of went back and forth. I'm curious what you said.
Yeah, not much interest in the fight as a whole. Lee's going to have the striking edge. De La Rosa is going to have the wrestling edge. But Lee could wrestle, whereas I just don't see De La Rosa having any chance on the feet in this one. And they fought before. De La Rosa landed 5 takedowns in that fight. It was back in 2019. But Lee still won, just completely outstruck her on the feet. She only scored 70 DraftKings points, which is not going to cut it at 8,500. And then De La Rosa scored 43 in that one. So if you give her the win, that's at 73. We could deal with that at 7,700. But I kind of see her, if she wins, it's probably in that 70 range. And I don't know that that's going to cut it on this card. So I prefer Lee because I think she's more likely to break the slate, go out there, get like a head kick knockout in the first round. But I'm also fine Xing both sides of the fight out. So I'm not sure. I have it as like a 2-star where I would be fine moving it to a 3-star if you feel confident in either side. But I'd also be fine moving it to a 1-star if you think it's going to play out like the last one, because it's 70 points from either side. I just don't think it's going to be on the optimal lineup, and I'm picking the favorite to get it done. So I guess she'll be my preferred play.
Yeah, I agree with you. Pretty much everything. My preferred play was Lee. She's taken some money the past couple of days, but she hasn't looked good, man. Like, I was at that Maverick fight. I mean, she really had nothing to do, like no threat on the feet. And the last 4 have all gone to decision. Like, there's really just no threat from her. I think it's a boring decision, and it probably busts. So, again, it's a low ownership fight. Play it in chalkier lineups, but 8,500. Like, Imavov is 100 more in the main event. There's that Zach Reese Marquez fight. I like the Klein fight more. But yeah, I mean, I guess any lead team, you can always play like a Cannoneer too or something like that and leave. If you're not playing Imavov, leave like 700 on the table. I guess that's probably how I'd go about stuff. What I'm trying to say is not playing that fight in single entry stuff. I'll mix it into larger field stuff, mainly Lee side. Probably bust though, is how I see it. Let's keep it going. Another fight. Really don't like much. It's the biggest favorite, highest price fighter, Katona, coming in around minus 625, taking on Jesse Butler, who's plus 450. This fight is plus 160 to finish. Katona is plus 160 inside the distance. Jesse Butler plus 1,500. Now, man, I was definitely looking at Jesse Butler on the scales, and he made weight. His last fight against Jim Miller on short notice was at 155. This fight's at 135. He's definitely going to – and Katona is short for the division, so it's going to be a huge height and reach advantage for Jesse Butler. The problem is the dude just isn't good, and, yeah, height and reach can only take you so far when you're not very good. Katona by what is the question?
I'd say by decision, just because he's not really a power puncher, and I don't see him wanting to grapple with Butler, because the only way Butler wins this fight is by a submission, in my opinion, just grabbing onto a guillotine or something like that. So I'm going to X Butler out of my player pool. I have no interest in him. If he gets the sub, then I'm done. But I'm also not interested in Katona either, because he's $9,600, and he's favored to win by decision, which is not going to be good. We almost need him to get a first round knockout, which is plus 550. That equals about 15% implied odds. So that's where I would max him in the solver. But I'd prefer to be closer to 0 than 15 and just take people who are priced under him, who I think can and will outscore him. So give me Katona to win a clear decision and probably score less than 10x or maybe right around 90 points and just not get it done at his price tag. But yeah, this is my least favorite fight on the card, actually.
Interesting. I'll keep Katona in the pool and cap his ownership because I think he's going to be relatively low owned in this top range. When ownership's out pretty soon after the show, you'll see that we have it as well. Like we think Rosas Jr. for cheaper will be more, Bruno Ferrera will be more, Prates will be more, and Dos Santos by a little bit. And it's also hard to leave money with Katona. So like if Katona puts up 130 and you leave money on the table with him, those lineups are should not be duped very often. So that's kind of how I'll be looking to use them. Or like when I play the main event, which will be chalky or stuff like that. But yeah, I agree with you. In a vacuum, I prefer Bruno Ferrera for cheaper. Rosas Jr. has more wrestling, grappling upside. Prates has better finishing odds. Dos Santos has better finishing odds and wrestling upside. So yeah, like Katona is more of a game theory play, and just Jesse Butler isn't good. But yeah, I agree. I don't think he wrestles, and that's kind of what we want if he does get 120. So yeah, I don't like it either. We talked about it. Those last 3 fights after Mora, Marcos Castaneda, Lee Rosa, or De La Rosa, Katona, Butler. I hope those 3 fights aren't on the optimal because I will be underweight or fading. Let's get to this next fight. Pretty interesting one. Carlos Prates taking on Charles Radkey. Minus 220 for this fight, or minus 233 Prates, plus 198 Radkey. Minus 220 for this fight to finish. Prates minus 130 inside the distance. Radkey plus 395. So like we just talked about, Katona at 9,600 is plus 160 to finish. Prates at 9,200 is minus 130 to finish. Now I'll throw it to you on this. He's low volume and he's a striker. So like if he gets a 3rd round knockout, is he cooked for the optimal? Do you think he gets in around 1 or 2? I'm definitely playing Radkey. I know that. He is my preferred side. We play a salary-based game. We need some dogs. I think he has a big time ceiling and can win this fight. Mix in takedowns maybe, but start with the Prates side because, yeah, the volume is a little concerning.
Yeah, I would say a 3rd round knockout probably doesn't get it done at $9,200 because he's not going to really be – I don't see him landing any takedowns anyways. I don't think he'll even be interested in shooting for takedowns. He probably the higher volume of the 2, but he's not going to blow you away with volume. So I think he's going to need a 1st or a 2nd round knockout, which is definitely doable. But I like other favorites more if I'm paying up that much. And I agree. I think Radkey's my preferred play because at $7K, any win from him probably does score more than 10x. He could go out there and wrestle. He could go out there and get a knockout. Both of these guys have been knocked out before. But if it's mainly taking place on the feet and somehow he wins a decision, he can still score 70 points. And if not many other underdogs win, that could get it done. So I'll probably be overweight to Radkey, underweight to Prates. But I do think that Prates is the deserving favorite. I think most of this fight takes place on the feet. I think he's just going to be the better, higher volume, taller, longer striker, a little bit more dangerous as well. I think I just have him winning a decision, which not going to cut it at $9,200. So I'll be underweight to him. But Radkey is one of those underdogs that I would be fine even doubling the field on.
Yeah, I agree with everything. One question on that. Jacoby or Prates if you had to pick? Because I've been going back and forth on that.
Man, I see me having similar ownership to them both. I would say I'd probably just say whoever I have lower owned is who I'd prefer.
Lower owned, you prefer. And that is Jacoby, and I think that is probably right. I ever so slightly went like overweight Prates, but around the field more so underweight Jacoby, because I think the finishing upside is better for Prates, which isn't a hot take. Minus 130 for Prates compared to plus 125 for Jacoby. However, Jacoby has a lot more volume. So if he gets like a second round knockout, even a third round knockout for Jacoby could be a big score. Whereas Prates, you don't think that as much. But I think the Reyes Jacoby is more likely that could just be a staring contest at space or just exchanging leg kicks or whatever. Whereas I think Radkey probably pushes the pace in this one is what I'm hoping and makes it a dog fight. But yeah, in both fights, the dog's my preferred play. So we'll keep it rolling. Fun mid-tier fight, hinted at a little bit. Clash of styles. Ludovic Klein, the striker, takes on Thiago Moises, the grappler. Minus 135 Klein, plus 115 Moises. Minus 130 for this fight to finish. Moises and Klein, both 220 both 220. They're inside the distance prop is. I'll throw it to you, and then you can answer this question as well. How do you see this fight going? And then Katona we have Katona at lower ownership than Prates. I can answer that one. I thought he meant who do you like more? Break this fight down.
Both these guys are well-rounded, but Klein's going to have the striking edge. Moises is going to have the grappling edge, so that's where they should be looking to take it. I just don't trust Moises' wrestling for him to dictate where this fight's going to take place. So I'm picking Klein to win. He's just probably got to get a knockout, especially if he is going to be spending any time on his back in this fight. But he is coming off a slate-breaking 135-point win. That was against the punching bag, so I don't see that being in play in this fight. But does 85 to 90 get you there? I don't know. I would say probably not. But I do think he's more likely to get a knockout than Moises is to get a submission. So he is going to be my preferred play. But I'll keep both of them in my player pool and probably just be underweight as a whole.
Yeah, I wish I had a strong lean or a lot of confidence on this one. I ended up saying my ever so slight lean. I don't care what. If I had 45% Klein and 20% Moises in my script, I'm in. 45% Moises, 20% Klein, I'm in. So I know that. But if I had to pick, Moises is my preferred play just because the 600 in savings. And I'd be easily fine with building a lineup, getting Klein in there, take Klein out, going Moises, leave 600, eliminate half the field or half the dupes or whatever it may be. So that's why Moises is my preferred play, since I think it's easier to get different with him and the salary, but it has really nothing to do about the fight much because I'm torn. Klein has shown good takedown defense. I say clash of styles, but Klein can wrestle, and Moises isn't a bad striker, so it's kind of chirping him a little bit without meaning to, but Klein easily has the striking advantage, I think. More dangerous, head kicks nasty. Moises clear grappling advantage and wants it on the mat. So, yeah, I guess give me the cheaper, the small dog with the DraftKings friendly style and wrestling grappling if I had to choose. Not a strong take, though.
Yeah, my only pushback is that I would not be okay with 45% of either one of them, but I'd be fine with 30% Klein, 15% Moises, or vice versa, something like that. But 30 is probably where I want to keep it maxed.
That's fair. I'm usually a little more, yeah. If I love everything and I see 45, it's hard, especially on 14 fights, 28 fighters, to get all the ownerships kind of how you're fine with. That's why sometimes I'm You know what? I'm done building this. Upload the teams. Let's go about my day. And hopefully it gets there. So, yeah. It's a fun card, though, man. It's a really good DFS card this week. Let's keep it rolling. Appreciate everyone hanging out. Like button, subscribe button. If you already haven't hit it, I don't know what you're doing. Do us a favor. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. And if you want all of our MMA content this week, as low as $24 a week, if you want all the weekly package, NBA playoffs going on, PGA Showdown, MLB, NHL playoffs, NASCAR, great time. $24 a week, all the content. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars up top in these sports on DraftKings this week. FanDuel content as well. If you want monthly, 6-month, annual, and be a part of the Discord, head over to shippingnation.com. I'm excited for this one, and I am a big Miguel Bayaza fan, so I'm excited to see him back in action, taking on Punahele Sorano, 8,700 Bayaza, 7,500 Sorano. Bayaza minus 195, Sorano plus 170. This fight's minus 280 to finish. Bayaza minus 110, Sorano plus 245. You're probably like, who the heck in the world is a Miguel Bayaza fan? The dude is all offense, and he is so skilled. The leg kicks are nasty. He's got power. He's long for the division. When he puts it together and he flows, I think he is such a fun striker. Mike Davis. Love watching Mike Davis. Huge fan of him more than others. The problem is the dude can't take a punch to save his life. Now, why I like him in this fight is, I don't think Soriano is very good. I don't think he wrestles. I think we get a striking match. Soriano can bink him, but I think the volume, the technicality, everything is on the Bayaza side, and he finally took time off. A year and a half, a little over that. We saw Mickey Gall come back, and his chin looked good. Sometimes you just need time off. If his chin's fine and he can take some shots, I think he styles on Soriano, probably knocks him out in the second, maybe the third if he's that tough. But, yeah, I'm on Bayaza by KO. That doesn't mean I'm not playing Soriano, though. He's cheap. Plus 245 inside the distance against someone that has had a bad chin. I think this fight delivers, but I'm definitely on the Bayaza side. What about you?
I agree. I agree with everything you said. I'll be higher on Bayaza. I'm picking him to win. I just think he's more skilled everywhere. The chin is the biggest concern, but he's been out for 2 years. So I think he wins the fight. But I do think this could be like a phone booth fight where they just go at it right away and they swing until one of them goes down.
Well, then Soriano probably wins.
And if Bayaza goes down, Soriano's breaking the slate. So he's one of those cheap underdogs with 100, 110-point upside. So I do want exposure to him. I also don't have him too highly owned, so I'm fine going overweight to him. But my preferred leverage play is going to be Bayaza. I'm going to make it a point to get him into a lot of lineups. And he could take it to the ground and dominate with the grappling as well. I don't know that he's the better wrestler, but I think he's the much better grappler. And I also think he's the just more skilled striker. He's dangerous as well. So give me Bayaza at $8,700. He's going to be one of my favorite plays probably on the card.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. I wanted to mention that too about the grappling. He's done at least one grappling tournament in his time off. This Bayaza by sub opened plus 800 is now plus 350. So that's telling me something. If this fight does hit the mat, I mean, Bayaza is way more skilled on the mat, but you don't really see him shoot for takedowns. I don't know, though. If he doesn't like getting hit in the face and he's realized that the past year and a half and he's worked on his grappling, I think he could come out here. Plus 350 by sub is short. Plus 200 by knockout. If he gets that sub, there's even maybe a little more potential upside is how I read into that line movement and just the easier path to victory. So, yeah. I like Bayaza here. We talked a lot about Bayaza, and we both like him a lot, but we will be playing Soriano. That's part of like the game theory. We target fights we think are going to win and not just 14 fights. You pick the winner in all of them, and you fade the other side. That's not how we play MMA DFS. So I like it. We're on the same page. 5 fights left. 5 pretty fun fights. You talked about liking a lot of the late card fights more. I'm with you, and you definitely like this one. Julian Marquez, Zach Reese, minus 136 Marquez, plus 116 is Zach Reese. Most likely fight to finish on the card, minus 600, plus 115 a pop for both of them to finish. Who you got?
Man, tough one to call, but they're both in the mid-range. Both have 100-point upside, so I just like the fight as a whole. And it's one where I probably just let the solver control my ownership on this one, but I want to make sure that I have a good amount of both. And I don't have them currently, at least, I don't have either one of them too highly owned. So I see me being overweight to what I currently have them both projected at. I like Reese to be the more skilled striker early, but I don't think he's ever been to the second round. So I just don't trust these guys who have never been out of round one. So I like Marquez late. And I also think Marquez has more submission upside. It's just that he's never landed a takedown in the UFC, which I would like to see him shoot for more of. I just trust Marquez a little bit more. So I'd say he's probably my preferred play. But if I need that $400, I have no issue going over to Reese and having him as my higher owned fighter of the two. But I am picking Marquez to get it done probably by a second half of the fight submission.
You and I have it pretty much the same, and it's not confident for me at all. But I mean, Reese has almost all of his fights end in the first. Not much pro experience. Marquez has fought the way better competition, UFC experience. He looked fine against Marc-Andre Barriault. Barriault just did what he does. Great cardio, took over as the fight went, but Marquez was throwing a lot of volume. Yeah, I think it's just a fight you really want to target. Now, I will say you're way better than me at ownership. You always have been spot on. I do think that Marcos Castaneda fight, though, will be a little lower owned, and some of that has to go to Reese Marquez is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, like minus 600. It will be this fight getting more ownership than I have.
Yeah, I do expect it to get a little more ownership than this. I do think it's spread out on a 14-fight card, but it's priced right in the mid-tier, and minus 600, people love to see that. So picking a winner is pretty tough, though, in the fight for sure. When is DraftKings going to add eye pokes to the scoring system? Yeah. Never, but definitely get used to it. If you just started watching UFC, you will see eye pokes. Not as many nut shots, I feel like, as of late. Fence grabs, oh my gosh, nothing more tilting than fence grabs when it goes against you. Let's keep it rolling. 4 fights left. The second most likely fight to finish on the card, Bruno Ferrera taking on Dustin Stoltzfus. Minus 275, Bruno, plus 220 is Dustin. This fight is minus 475 to finish. Bruno Ferrera minus 175, Stoltzfus plus 350. Another fight I like a lot of. And so I guess I'll start with this one. I see you're doing a little thing with ownership. It feels like Ferrera round 1 or Stoltzfus after that. I see there's not too many props on this fight, at least some books. Ferrera's plus 160 in round 1 at some books. Dustin Stoltzfus in that same book. Let me get this right. In that same book, where's the decision props? Ferrera's plus 700 to win by decision, and Stoltzfus is plus 550. So I think I agree with books. I think Bruno is way front-loaded, very live in round 1, dangerous, strong, has finished all of his fights, most of them round 1. Stoltzfus, I mean, he just got absolutely nuked against Abus a couple fights ago early, but if he can get into fights, he's a solid wrestler / grappler, solid cardio. I think he has the cardio advantage. It can break Bruno. So like you see 9,400, 6,800. My preferred play, 6,800 Stoltzfus. I'll be overweight. I think he has multiple pass. But I'll also have some Bruno since it's round 1. Or like if you say someone got a 1-minute bonus, I think it's probably him or it's probably that Marcos fight. But I do see we have him second highest owned or the highest owned outside of the main event, I'll say. And if that's the case, I like Stoltzfus side even more than I initially did. So yeah, give me Stoltzfus, I guess, as a winner. I don't know. Bruno Ferrera KO in round 1 is scary, but Stoltzfus is my preferred play at ownership for sure. What about you?
I agree. I'm picking Stoltzfus to get the upset here. He's going to be the one with the wrestling and grappling upside, and I think if he wrestles early, then we just take the power away from Ferrera right away. I don't trust Ferrera to go deep into this fight anyway. So it's like first round or bust DraftKings wise for Ferrera. But at his current ownership, I have no interest in getting that high. So I'll be underweight to him. Definitely still getting exposure to him because he is minus 150 to win by TKO, plus 160 to win in round 1. Those are good metrics. I want some of him, but I'd rather be closer to like 20, 30%. And then Stoltzfus, I have him at pretty low owned. And any win from Stoltzfus is going to score more than 10x, but he has 100-point upside, even in a decision. If he can go out there and wrestle all 3 rounds, he could score 100-plus points in a decision. But I like him to get a late submission here. I'll be at least double the field on Stoltzfus, if not more. He's a top 3 underdog for me on this slate. And then just a great fight to target because minus 475 that it doesn't go the distance. I expect it to not go the distance either. I just don't trust these guys like Ferrera who don't go deep into fights, who throw power in everything they have. I just don't see that style holding up for 3 rounds. So either he gets the job done early or he loses by submission, in my opinion.
I like it. I absolutely like it. Nothing more to add in this one. Hey, we're aligned on a lot of these. Maybe you and I holding hands at the top of the leaderboard tomorrow. I will take that. 3 fights left. We have talked about this fight, I think just once actually. It was scheduled twice. Raul Rosas Jr. taking out Ricky Tercios. Minus 220, Rosas Jr. Plus 185 for Tercios. This fight's plus 100 to finish. Rosas Jr. plus 130. Tercios plus 675. Yeah, we talked about it. It was on the Mexico City, I believe, card. Zellhuber actually absolutely beat the brakes out of Prado. Royval got the upset win over Moreno. I mean, I don't know if dude completely just had a panic attack. What? He felt totally fine walking into the arena. Videos of him like dabbing up all the fans and all that. You get word that he couldn't make the walk. Then they were going to have the fight the next week, and I don't know exactly what happened. I don't know if I guess dude was grounded from his parents. I don't know if that's why he didn't fight, but anyway, yeah, Rosas Jr. You guys probably know about him. Very young kid, power grappler, wrestler. UFC wanted him to be a star. Christian Rodriguez ended that hype train a bit, but he's still really young, and the UFC still wants him to win. Is how I see it. They still are giving him Tercios. I think the UFC is like, yeah, this is a guy you can beat. We feel confident about it. Rosas Jr., their camp feels confident about it. I think he can take the back, win minutes on the ground, control them. I don't know. I don't think it's probably going to be the most fun fight to watch. Yeah, I got Rosas Jr. probably decision. Sub wouldn't surprise me, but I think he can control it on the mat for periods of time. So he's a good DFS play, though.
I agree. Rosas Jr. is going to be my preferred play here because his biggest edge is going to be on the ground. That's where he wants to get the fight, and Tercios just doesn't have good takedown defense. So I could see him getting taken down 6+ times in this fight. He's actually been taken down 6 times in a win and then taken down 7 times in another win. And then his 2 losses, he wasn't even taken down in. So I don't know what the heck to do with this guy, but Tercios is a wild guy, kind of high volume, where if he is able to win, I expect him to score more than 10x. I would just rather take that wrestling and grappling upside from a Rosas Jr. who, if he wins, I think most of it's going to come on the ground and probably with lots of takedowns. I don't know that I trust his cardio, so maybe it could be one where he wins the first 2 rounds and then we're sweating out that third, but I would still rather pay up for him. He's not too highly priced in my opinion. I'd rather have him than a Katona. So he'll be my preferred leverage play, but I will get some Tercios exposure as well just because I don't fully trust Rosas Jr.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense to me. We've seen him gas as the fight goes. He's still a very young kid, Tercios. Whenever I see like a grown man against a kid still, like it's hard for me not to get some of the dog. So I'm with you there. 2 fights left, co-main event time. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Dustin Jacoby, Dominic Reyes, minus 235. Jacoby plus 200 is Dominic Reyes. Minus 175 for this fight to finish. Jacoby plus 125. Reyes plus 265 coming off a pretty decent sized layoff. Yeah, I guess I'll throw it to you right away. We talked about it a little bit. I don't have as much interest in Jacoby in the top range. But yeah, take it away. How do you see it going?
Yeah, but 4 years ago, I would have favored Reyes like minus 400 in this matchup, coming off that close loss. Could have won to John Jones. But since then, he's gone 0-3, being knocked out in all 3 fights. And we haven't seen him in almost 2 years. So I just don't trust Reyes. He's got one of the biggest fall-offs that we've seen in recent history. So I trust Jacoby as the more reliable fighter. I do think he is the better and higher volume striker over the course of 3 rounds. He could get a knockout as well. But he's got to get the knockout probably at his price at, what is he, 8,900 or... No, 9K. Like, we need a first or second round knockout, most likely, unless he is landing lots of volume, like you mentioned earlier. Maybe a 3rd round knockout could cut it. I just don't know how Jacoby wins a decision and makes the optimal lineup here. And that's how I picked him to win, is by a decision. So I don't have much interest in him. But on the other side, like, if we can see a little bit of the old Reyes, he's alive for a first-round knockout. He's an underdog who could score 100, 110-plus points, and those are the underdogs that I'm really looking to target. He doesn't have a whole lot of exposure. I mean, a lot of ownership, in my opinion, either. So I might double the field on Reyes, but then I might be around field weight on Jacoby, which probably puts me about the same ownership on them both, but I guess that makes Reyes my preferred play of the two because he's my preferred leverage play. But I just don't trust him at all, so give me Jacoby to win a decision.
Yeah, I don't have too much more to add. Like, we play a salary-based game. If Jacoby was 7,200 and Reyes was 7,200, of course I'd prefer Jacoby's side. I like others in the 9K, high 8K range more, mainly the primary wrestler grapplers. Like Jacoby not favored to finish 9K and will not get a takedown. At that point, he does throw good volume, like 5.5 significant strikes per minute. But even that, like 110 significant strikes and nothing else in a decision win probably isn't enough for the optimal. And then just naturally, like everything you said is true, but Reyes' losses, John Jones. Jacoby's losing to John Jones. I thought Reyes won that fight. I mean, debatable, sure. Next fight, there's Yuri and there's Jan Yuri. Like, I think Dustin Jacoby's losing to Jan. I think he's losing to Yuri. Ryan Spann fight wasn't great, but Ryan Spann's just a freak athlete. Like, he can do that at random times when he's on. Reyes is gonna get the fight he wants at range. The powerful shots will be them. The judges are freaking awful, as we saw. I mean, man, we could go on a whole rant there. I think this fight's more likely to go to decision than people think, but books have adjusted. Open minus 260 to finish, minus 175 now. I think Reyes can knock him out. I think Reyes can win a decision with more powerful shots, and you never know what judges do. So, yeah, I mean, give me the 1,800 savings in this one. Reyes is my preferred play. Reyes
also should have the wrestling edge as well. Oh, Sheets, what's up? Thank you.
Sheets, appreciate that. You guys would kick the extra three, but keep up the great work. We appreciate that, Sheets. Hope you're doing well. Times are tough due to fight sex making the optimal second and for a full month dip, but maybe you guys will kick in the extra three. Keep up the great work. We will do that, Sheets. I will kick that in for you. So, hey, how should we do this? You know what? Let's do it for next week, something in the YouTube, so it makes it fair. Significant strikes. I'll keep an eye on the YouTube Sheets. If you don't want this, tell me right now, though. But combined significant strikes for the main event. That means if you're not a member of chippination.com, Sheets is giving away a monthly pass. We'll chip in. We got the rest, Sheets. Don't have the money, though. Come on. I'm always seeing you at the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, let's do it on the playback. So if you're watching live, just make sure you refresh after this ends and then throw it in those comments.
Yep. So throw it to the YouTube. Like not right now. YouTube comments. Obviously, it has to be before the fight starts, which is tomorrow at 5 Eastern. Imavov, Cannonier, full significant strikes. The combined, whoever is closest or gets it on the head, gets a half month on Sheets, half month on us. I like it, Sheets. Hope you're doing well, man. Main event time. Oh, I did also want to shout out the JP Bar 84, who was in the live final. Deepwater, unfortunately, not the result you wanted. You got farther than I did. Shout out to you. Third place for him, JP Bar. Shout out to you. Awesome stuff. $60,000 in the MMA final. Nick, so not put it in the YouTube comments after the show is over. Not right here, since I will not remember your guess. Let's get right into it. Nasruddin Imavov, Jared Cannonier. 8,600 Imavov, 7,600 is Cannonier. This fight is slightly favored to go the distance at plus one. Actually, hold on. Money came in on the under overnight. It was plus 105. Now it's minus 115. Cannonier side plus 275. Imavov plus 210. That's a little interesting. 20 cents overnight on the under. The pricing is also interesting in this one. When you say 8,600, 7,600, you're expecting like a minus 160 favorite, minus 125 only. So the money line value on the Cannonier side, inside the distance props are similar. I'm on Cannonier. Strongly, no. But I do think, to be honest, I'll probably be underweight. We have this fight a little over 80% combined ownership. Fight is pretty much a coin flip to finish. So any third round, fourth round knockout probably doesn't get there. I don't think you really see wrestling. Like, I don't think Imavov would have too much success. I don't think Cannonier wrestles. Both guys average about 4.5 significant strikes per minute. If this fight goes the championship rounds or decision, you can see 92, and then Moises or Klein outscores it, or the Reese Marquez, or whatever it may be. So I prefer the 1K savings and 7,600 Cannonier. It's easier to leave salary. I think he has the better cardio as the fight goes. He is coming off a torn MCL, which is a little scary, but yeah, underweight probably this fight. I lean the Cannonier and the savings side. What about you?
I agree. I mean, $1,000 difference, and now Cannonier just moved to plus 100. Wouldn't shock me to see this be pick'em, maybe even a slight favorite for Cannonier by fight time. The guy, I mean, he's 40 years old, but he looks like he's in the prime of his career. He landed 382 significant strikes in his last two 5-round fights. Scored 155 in a decision in his last fight. I just don't see Imavov having anywhere near that kind of ceiling. And if Imavov wins, I could see him not on the optimal lineup. Whereas if Cannonier wins, I think he's on it. And I'm picking Cannonier to win. So my preferred play is going to be Cannonier. I'll be overweight to him. I'll be underweight to Imavov, hoping that if he does win, he just doesn't score enough points, get a little bit different by not having the main event. But yeah, I think that the line, but when it opened, I thought it should have been a lot closer. I very slightly favor Cannonier in this spot, but the fighter who is 10 years or more younger wins like 67% of the time. That's always a tough stat to go against. But when you look like Cannonier does at 40 years old, I'll go ahead and side with that. So give me Cannonier. He's got knockout upside. He's got a little bit of takedown upside as well, coming off, I believe, 4 takedowns on Vettori. I didn't expect that. So I just think this guy looks better and better every time I see him, and I'm going to side with him to get the win.
Yep. And I do like that what she says as well. You can easily plug in Imavov, take out Imavov, go Cannonier very, very easily. We both think Imavov and Cannonier will be around the low 40s, high 30% mark. Awesome stuff, Big Marley. That's all 14 fights. Man, it's a good DFS card. Like, I'm more pumped for this card than last week's card, which might sound crazy as the pay-per-view. You get Strickland, Costa, Poirier, Islam, which was a phenomenal fight. Phenomenal fight. Poirier put on a show. But I like playing DFS more when I have more action in play. I play more action when I think the card suits it better. I think this card suits DFS very well. I'm pumped for it. Only one weight miss by half a pound. She was fined 20% of her purse. Looks like we're all going to go with 14 fights as long as Rosas Jr. actually makes the walk. Not going to jinx it any farther. Final thoughts, Big Marley?
Nah, man, hopefully we do get a solo shipper. Hopefully it's somebody watching if it's not us. But good luck to everybody that is watching. Good luck to you, Title. Let's ship it.
Let's ship it, baby. Appreciate that again, Sheets. Good luck to everybody out there. Enjoy your weekend. Let's make some money. Head over to shippingnation.com if you want to check out weekly, monthly, 6-month, and annual packages. And, of course, shout out drafters.com. Get over there. $15 drafts, $500K up top, $2 drafts as well. Use that promo code SHIPIT. They will match all the way up to $100, 100%. Have a good weekend, Big Marley. Enjoy the nice weather. Let's win some money for Big Marley. I'm Titletown. Be safe. Peace.